Sorry. How you doing? Okay, so I am going to pull up YouTube while we are sitting here, letting everybody join us here live. Always exciting. One of these days, I'll figure out how to do one of those timer things, so that way we don't have anything like this. We don't have to wait for me. But right now, this is where we are. So we do have the live chat room open, everybody. I am your host. I am Marley Bird. Welcome to the Yarn Thing podcast. Today's guests are Rohn Strong, whoop whoop, and Kaylin Mole. And so we are here to talk today with all of you about a big event we are doing together. So I'm going to let everybody join in a little bit here before we jump in. So let's start off with this though. I mean, how are you guys doing? Introduce yourselves. Say hello.
Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, I'm great. I am wonderful. I'm Ron Strong. Yeah, I'm a designer. It's always weird introducing myself because I'm like, do people know me already? Or is that like haughty to think of myself? I'm Ron Strong and I crochet and I knit and I quilt and I do punch needle and I do a lot of stuff. I'm just a crafty person and I write lots of books and I teach classes online, but I love crochet socks. They're my absolute favorite thing in the entire world. I always work on a crochet sock, and I think at last count, I've made close to 100 pairs so far. So I am a crochet sock beamed at this point. I mean, honestly.
I think we could call you the crochet sock king or something like that.
I accept.
If you need crochet socks, you should go to Ron. Like that is the place.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that is why we brought him here for this awesome event, because not that Marley can't do crochet socks. I mean, we all know Marley can do whatever she wants to do, but it's always fun when you bring in like that expert of the industry who has done 100 pairs of socks to be able to give you really all the ins and outs. Because, you know, from my perspective, crochet socks have kind of always been like, do I want to do them because a crochet stitch feels different than a knit stitch. So like on the bottom of my foot, and I already have like high arches and, you know, wear orthotics. So it's already pushing on there, but the patterns that you come out with are just so amazing and I love them. And now I get to make 2 pairs of socks for the sock along.
Yay.
I am totally like, she is doing this unofficial summer wardrobe event. And I'm like, so are you making the socks? And she's like, it's so she is making your socks now. So she's going to make socks. So we have a lot of people here saying hello and they are super excited. I see a lot of names that I recognize and some new ones. So I'm just going to say hi to everybody. Thank you for joining us throughout today's discussion. I know Caitlin and I can both get on to the chat and I'm sure you probably can too, Ron, but you don't have to if you don't want to. We'll just try and grab out some questions and whatnot. So if there's a question and we don't answer it, don't hesitate to re-ask again. We will try our best to get to it. But I think I should start off just kind of with this idea of where this started. What do you guys think? Yeah,
I think that's a great plan.
Jump in whenever you want. I'm going to have us all on the gallery screen, so we're all on screen the whole time. If that's all right with you. First off, how is my sound? I hear you guys great. I know that the other day we had some issues with my sound, so I checked my gain earlier just to make sure my sound was okay. I think it's good. So hopefully the chat room will tell me if the sound is not good. Yes, they said they can hear me just fine, so that's good. All right, so as many of you know, you have participated in many different events with me, whether it's a crochet along or a knit along, or maybe you just watched some of my videos and decided to make something. I guess it was 2 years ago, we did a My First Knit Socks. And I don't know how many of you realize this, but I actually learned to knit because I wanted to knit socks. So knitting socks kind of goes back to really the heart of why I learned to knit. And I really enjoy knitting socks. It's something that, you know, after I finish a big project, I'll knit a pair of socks because I really enjoy the process of knitting socks. I especially love knitting top-down socks. I have a formula in my head. That's what I shared in the My First Sock Knit Along with the double points. We went through that whole thing. And the entire time I was doing the sock knit along for top down with double points, everybody was asking me, how do I do magic loop? And what if I want to do toe up? And I kept saying, that's not what we're doing right now. Just wait. We'll do that next time. Let's focus on this one right now, right? Because I'm like, okay, baby steps. Let me walk you through essentially how I learned and what I think is the best way to teach you. Let's learn this, take what we learn here, and let's apply it to something else. Learn something else. And now you have a bunch of tools that you can use, right? Not just tools, but like knowledgeable tools. And so, as time has gone on, we have had an inkling, right, Caitlin, that we wanted to do toe up socks. And we knew we wanted to do another sock along, but things have just been so crazy busy. You guys see us online, how busy we are. Imagine behind the scenes. And then with the fact of like, I'm just crazy in general, and Caitlin controls my crazy. And so, when we met in January, I think that's when you came out here, January or February, we made our plan for the next 6 or 8 months. And I said, I think we should try and do a sock along in the summer and make it so it's for knitters and crocheters. And she was like, I think that's a great idea. It's a small project. It's easy to work around with. We thought it worked great with Where is Flat Marley, because at the time this was pre-COVID. So we were like, it's easy for somebody to throw in like their flat Marley and their socks in a bag and you go on, and it'd be great. I said, awesome, but I don't want to crochet socks. And Caitlin was like, well, you can't have a sock along for knitters and crocheters if you don't crochet the socks. And I said, oh yes, I can. I said, I'm going to call the best sock crocheter in the business and see if he'll partner up with me. So that's where Rohn comes into the story. So I'm going to ask you, Rohn, when I first approached you, were you like, what is she doing now? Like, what was your thought?
Well, I was like, okay, I knew that if you were going to have a sock crochet along, you wouldn't be making the socks, because we've discussed your yet to have love for crochet socks. Like, yeah. I know you want to love them.
I do.
It's just taking that. But I understand, because like, I feel like I am not a sock knitter by any means. I feel like it takes way too long. The stitches are way too tiny, and my gauge is never right, and they're just like a pain in the butt. But I love crochet socks. So like, we're the opposite of each other, right? Like, we love the idea of doing knit or crochet socks, but like the actual like doing, we're like, we're good, thanks. Like,
right. I know. I'm like, I can do them. I have designed them. They're just not what I like to do.
I started a pair of Tough Down. These were the ones I started when you did your last like knit along, and like I got to here and they've been like this for a year, and I'm like, that's fine. We're fine.
That's
We're
awesome.
just gonna pretend they're fine.
So I was thrilled when you were like, absolutely, I would love to do that. And then we just kind of left it to Caitlin then to organize the rest of it. So Caitlin and I picked the date, and even that fluctuated a little bit because things were pushed and pulled around, especially with the sweater knit along, which just completed this week. Well, this is the last week of it. And so we've had to push and pull a little bit, but for the most part, we knew we wanted to do this in July, and we're still keeping it in July, which is a great, it's a really good time because it'll transition really well to the one day event we're going to do with the, I'm going to spill the beans here, guys. Ready? We're going to do a stocking in a one-day event. I know, I'm sorry, Caitlin, I can't help it. So it's a great transition. So it works out really well. So essentially we picked the date, gave Rohn the details, and said, here's what I need from you by this date. He said, awesome. And so since then, Caitlin has been working on everything. So I'm going to let Caitlin take it away.
Well, before we go too far, I did see a question come through saying, is this good for beginners? And I just want to clarify that, yes, this is good for beginners, because
not absolute beginners, like adventurous beginners.
Right. Like, you have to know how to knit, you have to know how to crochet, but there is going to be a video tutorial for each section. So you will, it's going to be a true class of learning how to make socks with Rohn and how to make socks with Marley, so you can build along right with them and learn. And we're here for help. Like, join us in the Marley's Minions group, ask your questions. Rohn and Marley are going to be there, and everybody else is going to be there too. So if they know a trick or tip or whatever, like, share it in the group, and we're going to have lots of fun.
Yeah.
So, okay. Before we get started on the really, really fun stuff of the day, let's just talk about the materials that people are going to need. The fact that we are starting on July 8th. So there's a blog post up. I think you put it in the
description. I put it in the description.
Go there, click it. You'll see all the information that you need. And that's going to be the page you want to save. That's going to be where we're posting the clues each week. for the 3 weeks so that you can keep following along. And then the clues have the videos, just like any of the other knit along and crochet alongs that we do. But how about you guys talk about quickly, or however long you want to talk about it, the materials that people are going to need. And then when we're done talking about materials, we have a sampling of different yarns and needles and things like that that we're going to share with you so that you have some options of what you want to do.
I have an entire bucket. Like, you said I could do socks, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm not even playing. I'm so ready for this. I have needles. I have 5 socks going. I have books. I'm so ready for this. All right, so keep going. I'm sorry. I know I interrupt you all the time. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. So how about Rohn? Do you want to start since we'll have
oh, did you feel that? Did you feel that?
I did. It got so shady in here. Real
So let's talk about the yarn that you used for the sample that we will see, not yet, guys. It's a little bit of a surprise yet, but tell us about the yarn that you use, what size crochet hooks people are gonna need, and if there's anything else that's important that they're gonna need to do beforehand. Like, is there any homework that they should be doing?
So kind of going back to where we're talking about, is this beginner friendly? So just for all the crocheters out there, let me say that I always say, if you can crochet a hat, you can crochet a pair of socks. And that sounds like a really big leap, but it's absolutely true. The biggest skill that we're going to cover essentially is the heel part, which I'll break down. And that's like the part everyone freaks out about, but there's literally no need to freak out. It's so easy to do, like the easiest. And I developed like a whole special heel for this class. There's no heel turn, which everyone is like, but I promise, it's like so easy. There's no heel turn, nothing.
Okay. So now you just upped the game.
Now Marley's
like, socks, hold my beer. Let me do it this way.
So what's cool is that there are gusset increases, but there's no heel turn at all. It's amazing, and I'm pretty good. No.
That's exactly why you should now be called the Sock King. Like,
I love it.
So I've done a lot of socks, and I've written 2 books on socks. And so like in those books, I just kind of went through, it's like my journey of crocheting socks. And when I first learned how to crochet socks from Karen Woolley, and I like have to give her all the credit because her book, I think it's called I Can't Believe I'm Crocheting Socks from Leisure Arts, was like the foundation of everything I learned. And I've just kind of grown from there. And if you're an adventurous beginner, I always say like those patterns that are rated easy, so they're like 1 step above beginner, you can totally make these socks. The sock yarn that I used in the sample and the sock yarn that I love and I use a lot is Peyton's Croy. And there's a couple reasons why I use this. Now this is in the stripe, it's called Blue Brown Marl, which is my favorite because, come on. And it also comes in metal stripe, like, I mean, let's go. It's beautiful. The reason that I choose sock yarns that are in 50-gram skeins, those are my favorite, is because crochet socks take more yarn than knit socks. So on average, a pair of socks is not going to take just one 100-gram hank of yarn. It's going to take 2. We need about 150 grams for every sock. And that's because we're actually working at a really small, with a really small hook comparatively, and the stitches just need to be dense. That's how you don't feel what you're walking on. So like people are always like, oh, you can feel the stitches. I'm like, you're just crocheting too loose. Honestly, that's what it is. If you can feel the stitches, your hook is way too big. I wear crochet socks literally like every day of the year. I absolutely love them. I have 1 pair that's made out of Peyton's Croy that has lasted me forever. And I love it. So the hook that I use, and it changes based on your gauge. I love my little Addie Scassell hooks. And this is the hook I use for every single pair of socks. And it's a 2.5 millimeter. Now that's in between a B and a C. So a USB is a 2.25 and a USC is a 2.75. So the 2.5 millimeter crochet hook is the one I recommend. But a lot of crocheters that are new to crochet socks will tend to make their socks looser because they're so like nervous on how to hold the yarn, and it's like really small. So always go down a hook size is usually if it's your first time. So you can go like 2.25 millimeter. And then you need stitch markers. So this sock uses a special construction, and for that you need 4 stitch markers, 2 of one color, 1 of another, and 1 of another. So you need to buy like one of those multi-packs that have a bunch of different colors, and have those on hand. And those are just going to help you keep track of your stitches. So I totally took the guesswork out of everything when it came to this sock. So I designed it from the toe up, if you will, to be super beginner friendly and to work with your skills. And I really wanted it just to be the kind of sock I hear from people all the time, like, oh, I love your sock designs, but I could never do that. And I wanted these socks to be like, yes, you can. You just got to believe in yourself just a little bit and have a little sense of adventure, and you can totally accomplish these.
Thank you so much. So Marley, go ahead, tell us what we need for your socks.
I had to unmute myself. Wow, I didn't know how to do that. Well, conveniently, you need the same yarn. So we all know that I work a lot with Yarnspiration, so I do use their sock yarn a lot. My actual sample will be done in the same yarn that Rohn is doing his with the flax, which is just all brown. And we will talk about this more, but we both decided that if we did a solid color for the first, it would just make it easier for people to be able to see their stitches and go along and go forth, right? If you are somebody, you're like, I want to buck the system. I want to use the stripe yarn. I want to use hand dyed. I want to use this. I want to use that. You absolutely can. We just, again, tried to make it super easy, a very beginner vanilla, my first toe up sock sort of pattern. So that's why we talked about those yarn. But like I have Patton's Croy, like I think it's FX, whatever. Like there's really cool. So I have this one going. This pair, this is, I don't even know the name of the Opal. I don't know if Opal is the name of the yarn or the company, but this is the second ball of sock yarn I ever purchased. And I just never knit with it. And so I'm knitting some socks with that right now. I mean, I have so many socks going. I'll just show you everything right now because I can, right? I have circulars. We're going to talk about the circulars. I even have a worsted weight pair going so I could show people on worsted weight in the video so you can see the stitches easier. But I will also be writing the instructions. So if you wanted to use worsted weight for like your first pair, maybe you want to get those a try, you can, either with magic loop or 2 circulars. So I have those happening. I have one more pair because this one's so pretty. I want to show you. Okay, so look at these. These are, I mean, look how pretty those are. You see them? They're purple. They're purple. And again, that's the Peyton's. I almost call it Patton's Croy. So socks, same deal. When you're dealing with knit socks, these are 50-gram balls. Typically for knit socks, you need 100 grams to make a pair. As you get bigger sizes, you want to use a little bit more if you want the leg actually to be a nice sized leg. So you'll notice in the again, the link is in the video description box, but you'll notice in my version, some of the larger sizes require to have 3 balls of this, not just 2. And that was just my attempt to make sure you had a longer leg. If you're just like, I want quarter socks or whatever, you could get by with 2 balls. That would be fine. As far as needles, because I know this is the big question everybody's going to ask, right? What needles is Marley going to use? Because last time I used DPNs. I'm trying my best not to use DPNs at this round at all. Typically, when I taught beginner socks at my local yarn store, I always started people with my first socks. Like that entire pattern, that was their first sock pattern. And then everybody, just like you guys, I want to use circulars. I want to use magic loop. I want to do toe up. Great. We'll make those the second sock. So it used to be that I would start people off with 2 circulars. Okay. Because if you can master 2 circulars, you can do magic loop. And I really felt like 2 circulars really helped visual people be like, okay, those stitches there are this needle. These stitches here are this needle. And it's very easy to keep those separated. And when I do when I do 2 circulars, I always make one needle shorter than the other one. And then if people had a lot of needles, I often would suggest they use like each needle was different. Like one would be like Addie lace and the other would be the Addie turbo or something. You know what I mean? Whatever. So I am going to show 2 circulars. I'm also going to show magic loop. So here's the thing. If you have 2 circulars, say you have a 24-inch and a 32-inch, then you could just get rid of the 24-inch and just use the 32 and just do magic loop. Great, right? Because I will show you how to do 2 circulars, magic loop, and then once you get past the toe portion, you can transfer over to 9-inch circulars. So I'm going to show those. Now, I don't really like to do my heel with the 9-inch circulars, so I will be going back to the magic loop. So here's what I'm doing in this class. This will, first off, let me go back. This will not be the only video I ever do on toe-up socks. This is purely just a beginner one. We're going to sample all this stuff out, and you get to try everything, find out what works for you. Maybe later on at some other pattern, you like to use these the whole way through, and you could do that. But my goal is to use 2 circulars of magic loop at the toe and increase out. And then I will show you how to continue on either with the magic loop, 2 circulars, or switch to a 9-inch. Then we'll get to the heel. We'll use magic loop again. And then when you get the heel turned and you go back up the leg, you can go back to these. You know, it's very similar, very easy stuff. So that is my deal with the needles. So when you ask me, what needles do I need? That depends on which one you want to do. Really, if you got 2 circulars and a 9-inch, you could try all 3 ways, right? Because you'd have them all. And I am using a size 2, a US size 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter. And it made me laugh when Rohn was talking about how tiny the stitches are, because like my gauge, it was 32 stitches for 4 inches, and his is 24. So I'm like, yeah, it's tiny needles. So it's like 8 stitches per inch. But again, you want your stitches really tight. It helps with the wear of the socks. You want them snug. So you can do a gauge swatch if you choose to, absolutely fine. We wrote the gauge in the details, so you can see all that there. I do want you to have stitch markers, both ones that, I guess you could get removable for both of them, but ones that will stick on the needle, and then one that you can pin to the stitches themselves. I just bought some. Where did they go? I don't know where they just went. I had them here. I don't know. One of those, they're like safety pins, but it's not a safety pin. Like I have those, and that will help you like mark a point in your sock, so that way the other one can match. You can count your rows. Yeah, and we're going to talk about the Chaigu circular interchangeable set. We're going to talk about the signature smaller set. We're going to talk about the Skacel small ones and the other Skacel size that we have, which are Addies. Yeah, lots of needle discussion going on. But as far as the basics, get yourself some sock yarn, at least 100 grams. Get yourself some needles. Have some stitch markers. We'll show you different accoutrement along the way that you could have if you want, but you don't need. Like this really cool toe to heel measure, freaking awesome. A sock blocker, and then there's a really cool exclusive bag that we're gonna talk about here in a minute. But those are the details. Again, all of that is written in the blog post, which is linked in the video description box. So if you just were like, Marley was all over the place, I've written it all there, so you can check it all out.
Okay,
how about that?
So I just want to address one of the questions that came through about, is this going to be Fair No. This is all just whatever the color is of your yarn. Like that's going to be the color work that you have is based off of whatever yarn you pick. So this is, again, a very basic beginner, like one step up from beginner, I guess we'll say, sock. So it's like your first sock, but it's
a very vanilla.
Right. It's very the steps of how to make a sock and kind of work through it so you're comfortable. Not teaching all kinds of fancy things. So, and
I know Rohn and I have talked too about having other patterns to show you guys, like, okay, you know how to do this. Take what you've learned one step further and make this sock. And we'll show you other sock patterns that will be available to you, whether for free or for purchase. We haven't made that decision yet. But I mean, we're going to show you options of what you can do with the skills we're teaching you. This is very, very much a skills class for free. Like we charge people to teach these classes out in the public, and we're doing it for free. We're here because we want to make all of you sock knitters and have you buy Rohn's books. I don't have any sock books. I have a pattern in a sock book, but I don't have any of those. But yeah, so we're gonna show you what you need to know to make these socks. And then the world is your oyster once you take this information, just the generic information. But then just like Ron said, he developed a special heel. There's other heels to do. There's different toes to do. There's so many different ways to do socks in general. This is just one little nugget of it that you'll be able to use and expand out with that.
Right. And just to repeat, it starts July 8th, but you can get all that information and all the links in the blog post. And no, it is not going to include child sizes. This is adult sizes only for this pattern. And can we just take maybe like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, to talk about kind of the difference between a toe up sock versus a cuff down sock, and maybe why we chose to go with the toe up sock this time around?
Ron, I'll let you go for it.
Okay. So the main difference is just the direction that you're working in. So when you're working a cuff down, obviously you begin with the cuff, you work the leg, the heel, then the gusset usually, if there's a gusset on heel down or cuff down, and then you'll do the foot and then the toe. And then toe up is just the reverse of that. And everyone has kind of their own inherent, I think, like likes and dislikes of either one. But the truth is there's nothing that makes one better than the other. The fit can be the same with the techniques that we use. For example, like my sock has gusset increases, which are typically only reserved for cuff down socks, not toe up socks. But for crochet socks, you have to have gusset increases. Like you can't not. And so with that in mind, we have to include them so the socks actually fit your foot. I think a lot of people like toe up socks because they feel like they can try them on as they're going and they're like, oh, okay, this feels like it's actually working. It looks like it's working. Where cuff down, I think, requires a little bit more imagination and faith in the pattern and the pattern writing. And I know I speak for all crocheters when I say we just like to do things our own way half the time. And so we do. Like we can have a pattern written for us and we're like, I got this. And so
that's why I become a designer. So I can write my own stuff.
Exactly. I'm like, listen, I don't even follow my own patterns. So so we have yeah, they're different. They're the same. You're gonna get the same result. Traditionally, I like cuff down socks, and that's just because I can fit a sock to my foot easy, but I'm a big dude. I got some monster calves on me, so I need to be able to fit that calf a little bit differently. And so like, that's the thing, that's a great thing about this crochet along and knit along. And as you continue to make socks after this, you're going to find what you prefer that works for yourself. Customization is the key to success and to comfort and to continuing on after this. And so once you learn these basic techniques, you can kind of just be like, cool, I'm gonna do whatever I want now and then do it.
And the cool thing here is I really feel like even for the knitting side, once I teach you how to do the 2 circulars or the magic loop, you'll be able to understand how it works. And you could go back to my first sock that we did cuff down with double points, and you could change that pattern and understand, oh, so this is how I would do this with 2 circulars, or this is how I would do this with magic loop. So I forced you to use double points because they're still my love. I love double points. I think they're just faster for me. But you will be able to take the skills we learn for toe up, apply them to the other, and vice versa. Like we could absolutely make toe up socks on 4 double points or 5 double points, but I'm choosing to show you another skill, making another item with another tool. Because that's what good teachers do, right? We walk you through so that we hold your hand and find out what works for you. Because I have friends that are diehard 9-inch circular needle fans, and I wasn't sure I was going to like them. I'm enjoying them. How about that? I do not dislike them. I like them. I am enjoying them. I shouldn't, that sounded bad. I'm not saying like I absolutely love them, but I like them. And I'm not getting hand cramps, which is great because I was really afraid of that. But they're very enjoyable. And I've tried several different ones now and I'm enjoying it. Like I find myself, I'm just knitting along and it's very comfortable. I like that. I've never really been a big fan of Magic Loop, but I like it. Like it works, it's fine. And then I've always liked 2 circulars because for my visual mind, it just makes sense to me of those are the the heel or the bottom of the foot, those are the top of the foot. Like it just like this it's very clear where you are, right? When you have those going. So it just works for me. So kind of to piggyback what Rohn said, I think one of the biggest difference is the trying on factor. I think people really like the idea of trying on their socks and being able to use all of their sock yarn, because they can make their foot fit perfectly all the way through the heel and then just use whatever they have left for the leg of the sock and then do the same thing for the other sock. So it's a great way to use up all of your sock yarn. So I think people really love that too.
Great. And I just want to answer another question. They're asking if we have to register for this event. Yep. No registration, just head to the blog.
This is not like the Vest Knit Along. This is purely just grab your needles and let's do this.
Yeah. Okay, so then so we showed that you guys are going to use the Peyton's Croy to make the samples in the videos and everything. But as you mentioned, there's a lot of indie dyers out there that you would get a hank of yarn with. And so there's a couple things you need to know about using a hank of yarn, whether it is a solid color or a more variegated or speckled color. You're going to need a Swift and you're going to need a ball winder, or I guess your hands, to be able to do this. And also most of the hanks that you're going to get, I mean, yes, there's some exceptions depending on where you're purchasing from, but most of them come in around 100 grams of yarn. So Marley and Rohn were just saying that their balls are 50-gram balls. So you use one for each. Okay, Marley.
I'm sorry.
And this hank is 100 grams. So this is like 2 of theirs put together. So do you guys have a suggestion or preference about splitting these before you start working? Or do you always wind yours into one cake and then just go? Because I know we're not doing 2 at a time, so you don't technically need 2 different sources of yarn, but do you have any suggestions if people do go out and buy a hank?
All right, I'll go first with this one. So I always wind mine just in one big cake. And then as I'm working along, I will weigh the cake. And when I get close to 50 grams for the one sock, like I'll weigh the cake. So when the cake gets to where it's about 50 grams, I'll know that the sock I'm on should be about done. So that way I have left what I need for the next sock. So that's what I do. I mean, I use that. I have a kitchen scale. I used it in the knit along videos. I showed you guys how to use that. I'm sure Caitlin will add a link to it later on. So if you wanted to get one on Amazon, you could. They're very useful for a lot of different things, but that's what I do. Well, how about you, Rohn?
Same thing. I mean, it's harder with crochet socks because, like I said, you're always pretty much going to use 2 hanks. So you can get into the point where, like, if your dye lots aren't the same and if they don't look exactly the same, you might want to stripe this out or the hand-dyed yarn. Just to make it look better. But I mean, honestly, I do the same thing. I just wind it into 2 balls. Well, 2 balls as in like I'm using 2 skeins. So 1 ball each skein and then, or hank, and then just work from it, weigh it as I go. And when it gets to the point, I know that I'm going to use 2, like always. So I usually just don't even weigh it. I'll just keep working and then join it when I run out.
That's perfect.
Go to town.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
And there is a lot of sock yarn you can buy out there in the world.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about some of the yarns. Now, Marley and I have some samples of yarns. We don't want to go through all of them, just so we don't get too long, and we know Marley has a ton of them.
I know, it's so bad.
Tomorrow there's going to be a blog post that goes out, and it's going to list a ton of examples of these indie dyers that are absolutely amazing and give you so many different options of yarn bases and the ways that they do it, which we'll explain in a minute. So all that information, all the information on the needles, the hooks, a yarn Swift, a ball winder,
all of the information is going to be listed tomorrow. So we'll answer all your questions with, recommended Swift, recommended ball winder, or not even recommended, but like, here are some options. Cause I know like mine's expensive, but I know there are cheaper versions.
Price points in there. Some of the things we only have like 1 or 2, but I'm trying to get price points so that people can see, okay, if I'm a total beginner and I don't know if I want to do this, I can go with a cheaper version. And then as I get more into it, I can get, a more substantial.
Yeah.
So, okay, since you showed your ruler, let's talk about that. And this is a great tool. So we have
this is amazing. I have never had one of these. And Wild Stitchers sent it, and I've used it nonstop now.
Right. So we have Wild Stitchers. They sent us this great one, and something else that we'll talk about in a minute. But I also have this one from Catrinkles, and theirs is just a little bit different in how they kind of write theirs out. And I like too that this Wild Stitchers one on the back has the Kitchener stitch. So if you are knitting, you kind of have that to go by. So basically what you can do is you measure your foot on the sock, like you put your heel here at the 0, and you can see how long your foot is that you're doing. And then as you work the foot, now this only really works for toe up socks. I mean, you can measure a cuff down sock as you go, but it's usually better for toe up. You can just slide your sock onto the ruler to make sure that it's getting as high as it needs to be before you would start going into your.
Well, you could even like top down. You could go this way to know how long you wanted yours. And this one, I have this one too. I forgot I bought it at Stitches this last time. Spark and Bloom. So again, it has those. Then it has women's sizes on the back. It has all the sizes. Then it has the Kitchener stitch written in. They're handy. Do you have one of these, Ron?
No, I don't. Well, because I always make all the socks in the same size, so I have the numbers memorized in my head, so I never have to measure them.
They're so.
Yeah.
So
and awesome.
If you don't memorize the size that you need for your foot, or you're working on somebody else's socks, Catrinkles also has this little set that has, the first one here is the women's sock size, a men's sock size, and then the Kitchener stitch.
That's cool.
That's really
and
cool.
So like on here, you can say like, if you're a men's shoe size 9, it tells you that the foot length should be 10.2 inches, so very precise, and the sock length should be 9.2 inches.
All right, so I'm gonna need one of those.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna need one of those too.
I need one of those. Definitely gonna need.
We'll get them for you guys.
Gonna need one of those because that'll be, and those, I mean, it looks like it has a thing you could attach it to a sock bag.
The little
cool.
chain.
Oh yeah.
And
that's
then
a must-have.
like this, so you can just keep it in your project bag.
Yep, absolutely must have that. I gotta have that.
So there's that. So
awesome.
Then along with your socks, we're gonna block our socks. And so
you don't have to. Like,
you don't have to.
We're gonna show you, but you don't have to.
Right. We are going to, Rhonda, the question about where can it be purchased, check back on the blog tomorrow or the post that we have. We're going to update that with all of these links so you guys can purchase too. So these are really great, and I found these online. So Marley has regular sock blockers that are one size, and you do with it what you can and you fit what you need. But these by Wild Stitchers are actually adjustable sock blockers. And so you just flip up these things on them. I don't know what you want to call them, but you flip them up, and then you can pull out this toe piece and you can extend it so that it's as long as you need it or as short as you need it for your foot.
I thought these were cool. These were neat looking.
Yeah.
Because I have these all in different sizes, like a small, medium, and large. And these are more sturdy, thicker than what these are.
Kind of a thin wood, but it is neat that they can adjust, that you have that play. And then what we do in here, guys, just to kind of let it breathe a little bit more to try to dry faster, but and decorative. Yeah. So also though, Catrinkles has this really cool size, because if you look here at the Wild Stitchers, it has an M on it, which is their size of the blocker. So they have multiple sizes depending on if you have a large foot or a small foot. But Catrinkles has this really awesome blocker as well. Hopefully I don't make too much noise. So it comes in all these multiple pieces, just like this.
Oh, that's neat.
And you put your sock together, if you can see here in the picture, and you put your pieces together to make the size of the sock that you want.
I think Caitlin saved all the really cool stuff for her.
I know, right? That's
what
really
the heck?
Cool.
That's really awesome. You can add that to my tally too.
I'm on
It's like same.
Same. Just check that.
You just all right.
But so
It's
you
like
get
our
all,
own personal little Amazon. Yeah,
I know.
buy it now.
and you just put them all together.
That's awesome.
Just a different version. And then they come with the pins in here to hold it all together.
That's cool.
So,
That's
okay.
cool. I'm going to remind everybody again, a link to all of this will be up tomorrow. We're giving little bits at a time because it's a lot to take in.
And also I want to say too, that you definitely have to come back tomorrow to check the blog post because we have giveaways.
Yes.
And I'm just waiting on 1 or 2 more people to confirm what we're doing. So I didn't want to post it live and then people missed out on it or whatever else. So there will be some giveaways tomorrow. So come back and check out all the products that we're talking about, plus some more that we won't have time to talk about, and then the giveaways. So I did want to talk about, do I want to talk about this next? Yes, let's do this. Okay, because I know you have one too, Marley. This is called a sock blank. Okay,
I don't think I have that. I have something different.
Yeah, you have a different one because yours comes with a separate ball for like the heels.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a different one, and you'll see here, so Marley's holding up one. Hers is a sock blank for the body of the sock, and then they give you a separate hank for the heels and potentially the toes if you want to do that of your sock. So what is a sock blank? A sock blank is when the dyer takes yarn and typically knits it on a knitting machine, and it's just this big long piece of fabric, and then they paint it or dye it in some form. Now this one here in particular, I can't remember about that one, Marley. This is a double knit, so it's actually 2 strands knit together and dyed at the same time so that you'll have matching socks if you start at the same place. So here you'll need to pull it apart, then you'll need to wind it into 2 balls as well, but you've got this beautiful coloring that's going to be identical on both of your socks.
Yeah, I just have 2 blanks. They're 2 stockinette blanks.
Okay.
These are beautiful. These colors are like luscious. Kama Sutra is the name of Kama Sutra Fiber Arts. Stunning. Like, I got this in the mail and I was like, man, I was really tired when I ordered. And then I was like, oh, okay. Because, you know, it's very pretty.
I have a surprise to show you of an amazing dyer who does sock blanks that I found online.
Okay.
And she hand paints sceneries on her sock blanks. So this is the New York skyline.
That's so cool.
Oh, that is so neat.
And she does all different cities that you can do. And these are also double knit. I think she does a single knit, maybe 2, but this one's a double knit. So your socks will match. I don't know that I want to take this apart. I want to like frame this and hang this.
That's really pretty.
Beautiful. But you can see she actually paints on the fabric a different skyline. So when you check it out, this is yarn over New York. But she does like Philadelphia and she has Chicago. And
that's cool.
She might do others that she doesn't have if you send her a picture, but I just thought that was really awesome.
That's neat.
To kind of
have. It's different.
I would love to, I can't wait to see like how it knits up or the way it's colored and painted.
That's cool.
I thought that was really cool.
Awesome.
So another thing to talk about though, is sometimes you have hanks of yarn like this, where you've got a color and then you've got no color or 2 different colors, like this one just has multiple colors through it. And so what is your suggestion, Rohn, as well? Because I know you said you would have to use 2 balls. So these hanks are 100 grams of the sock yarn. So would you do the same thing? Would you split these into 2, or would you just go ahead and work 1 and then work a second ball that you would purchase for your socks?
Well, I think it's important to keep in mind that when they're dyed like that, they're not going to ombre, or like we were showing with the sock blanks, just right there, they're going to be variegated. So it's just going to be crazy color, and trying to match variegated is a futile endeavor. So just accept that your socks are not going to be the same under any circumstances, and you'll be much happier. Even, I think it's also important for crocheters to recognize that if you buy self-striping yarn, it is not going to self-stripe if you're crocheting with it. That doesn't happen.
Oh, that's good to know.
And that's because self-striping yarn is specifically engineered to work with a certain number of stitches in knitting. And our gauge varies. And you'll notice, like when you read the crochet sock pattern, that the sizes are very, like the difference in the numbers for the sizes is only like 4 to 6 stitches. And so when that happens, we're increasing we're increasing the measurement, and the stitches are also increases, and it's using up more yarn. So here's a good example. This is the Peyton's Croy, and this is a self-striping yarn when you knit with it, but I'm crocheting with it right now, and it's not self-striping at all. So it's just completely variegated all the way through. And like I said earlier, when you, there was no sense in trying to match them. I mean, I'm getting kind of matching, but not really. And that happens just, don't try it. I have another, like, this is a sock yarn I've had forever, and it's supposed to self-stripe, and it's not going to. It's just going to be variegated. So just keep that in mind. The only way to self-stripe or to get that striped look for crochet socks is to buy multiple skeins of, you could do like the 50-gram balls, buy a bunch of them, and then change the colors yourself.
Like actually do stripes.
Yeah, you would have to do like joined rounds, and you'd have to change them at the beginning of the round. But that's the only way to do it. There's no way to actually get self-striping yarn. Some self-striping yarn will work if it's a really long color repeat and you're doing like a really small size. But for the most part, it's not going to happen.
So Aida is asking me, what about the yarn pooling? That's a completely different like animal with all of this. I mean, if you want to, you can do yarn pooling and make a sock, so to speak, but yeah, it's just a whole different thing you're doing there. I know that Brenda Lee has done like some stockings and stuff, like Christmas stockings with the yarn pooling stuff, but I wouldn't try it. I mean, that's just a little bit above my pay grade. I think I would give myself a mess with that. But whereas self-striping doesn't work with crochet, it works great with knitting. And you can buy self-striping yarn from the internet, whether it's with Peyton's Croy sock. Like this is another self-striping yarn, the color that they have. I love this color. It's called Singin' the Blues Stripes. Look how pretty that is. I was like, yep, gotta have that. But then this one is called, what is it? Trailing Clouds, Mind the Gap. And it's for every color of the London Underground. Like if you were gonna do the London Underground, like the colorways of the directions that it goes. So it stripes up like that. So pretty. And so I got that on Etsy. So yeah, other than that, when it comes to stuff like this, or like what you were showing, Caitlin, it's going to come out variegated.
So let's, before we kind of wrap up, because I know we have one more big surprise yet, let's just talk about fiber content though. So yes, the Peyton's Croy is a great one. You can find it, I believe, in Michael's, potentially Joann's, I'm not sure.
Yes, you can
buy it online from Yarnspirations. But when we're looking at fiber content, like this one here is a yak yarn. So this is 20% yak, 10% nylon, 70% superwash merino. And from the same company, she has another base that's 80% superwash and 20% nylon. So there's a lot of different variations on what these sock bases are. Is there something, not looking at like the wool sensitivities, like taking that out of the picture, but is there some makeup of yarn that you guys suggest that would be better for sock making?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah,
I think especially for your first, just know that the more nylon you have in there, or some sort of another fiber that is more sturdy than just the wool, will help the wear of your socks. And then again, as you crochet or knit tighter, your stitches are together more. That helps with the wear because it's less friction on the stitches rubbing on each other. So I prefer to have something where it has some nylon in it, whether it's 80-20 or 75-25 or something along that. And I mean, for me, I've always been taught that nylon, silk, bamboo, they're all very sturdy fibers. And so those are good to have in there. Nylon is usually the one you'll find in a sock yarn that will help the wear of the sock. So yeah, and before we go, just because I'm going to let Ron talk here too, but Caitlin, I don't want to go until I mention all the companies that sent us yarn, because I want to make sure I mention them.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Ron.
So I'm a stickler, and I think 75-25 is the best mix for beginners. And that's because not only are your socks going to get a lot of wear, but you're going to be doing a lot of ripping out. Like that's
Yeah,
just naturally going to happen. And
good point.
the higher your nylon, or sometimes it's listed on the ball bands as polyamide, something like that. Any synthetic fiber, the higher the count of synthetic fiber, the sturdier your yarn is going to be as you're ripping out and all that kind of stuff. So 75-25. And I'm also a big stickler that I think you need to use wool. Wool is going to really kind of make sure that your socks last a really long time. But also, I get a lot of questions that say, can I use cotton? And the thing is that wool has stretch, cotton does not. And while you can use cotton to make socks, and you can use any yarn to make whatever you want, they're not going to fit. They're going to be extremely hot and sweaty, and they're going to absorb all of your foot.
Mm-hmm. Yep, wool has a natural wicking thing. It keeps you warm when you need to be warm, keeps you cool when you need to be cool.
And it lasts so much longer, because the other thing to keep in mind is that, especially with knitting, it's going to stretch and then it's going to snap back. Crochet has a tendency not to snap back as much. So what you want is to be able to throw these in the washer or hand wash them. And you want those stitches to kind of go back to where they were, and wool will do that in a higher nylon count. So 75-25 is my favorite. That's what I use for almost all of my stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. And the Peyton's, yes. I always want to say patents, so I always double check myself. Peyton's Croy is 75-25, if you guys are wondering. Mm-hmm. Just on a side note, I bought these dark colors on purpose because all of you out there who are beginner sock knitters, do not buy these colors. Do not buy black yarn. Do not buy dark gray yarn. Get yourself a brighter color so you can see the stitches, okay? Like this crochet and knit. Do not buy the dark colors. That's it. I just wanted to jump out real quick.
Okay. So before our last surprise, let's run through some of the companies that have sent us the yarn.
Yes.
So this one here with the skyline that we showed, this is Yarn Over New York. And again, all of these links will be in the blog post tomorrow. Some of them have coupon codes. Some of them are going to have giveaways. So just make sure you come back and check tomorrow to see what's going on. But so again, this is Yarn Over New York, and that's a sock blank. And if you're also looking for sock blanks, this one here that we showed, this is Alexandra, the Art of Yarn. So we'll link her as well. Beautiful sock blanks. Who were your sock blanks, Marley?
Kama Sutra. What did I do with them? Kama Sutra. I kind of want to read what she wrote. They all sent me a note. They're so nice. They're sending 2 similar but different sets of yarn for comparison. Different colorways. You have the blank and then the extra yarn for the toe or the heel. Let's see. The blanks only unravel one direction, so make sure you knit from the direction that it unravels. Important note to say. And you can find them on Instagram at Kama Sutra Fiber Arts. And so you can check them out there. Really, really beautiful colors. Really beautiful colors. I like those a lot. Okay, ready for the next one?
So we also had Destination Yarn, which we've had on the podcast before,
yes.
With Destination Lane, where you can get a yarn and a bag every other month. So you can check them out. They only do subscriptions once a year, which I think is towards the end of the year. But she has some really, really beautiful colorways that she does, all based off of different locations. And her base is Ron's favorite, Ron's special 75% merino, superwash merino, 25% nylon.
And I know she has other bases available too. If you go to Destination Yarn, I love Jean over there. She's so fantastic. And when Destination Lane comes back up to buy in, you guys, like it's I only have 2 subscription boxes and they're my favorite. Like they're the best.
Okay. Wait, before we move on real quick, I just noticed this and I want to ask. So looking at, you probably can't see this in the camera, but looking at the Destination Lane yarn and then looking at this yarn, which we'll talk about in a minute, you can see that the plying is different. Like this is a looser ply and this is a really tight ply. Is there a difference when it comes to sock knitting and crocheting?
In crocheting, yeah, you want a tight bouncy ply. And that's just because the socks, the tighter the ply, the socks are going to last longer. And so I'm looking, it's also because most yarns are not created for crocheters. In mine, they're created for knitters. So it's the twist. And so as you're crocheting, if you've ever crocheted with something that's loosely plied, as you're crocheting, you'll notice the yarn kind of spins and it comes undone and it splits. That's because the twist is different. It's a whole scientific S twist and Z twist and all that kind of stuff. But just keep in mind that the tighter the twist, the longer the socks are going to last, the more definition your stitches are going to have. And I am a lover of like really tightly spun rustic yarns. So like I like my yarns to feel woolly. I like them to feel like firm. And then yeah. So
like burly sort of yarns.
I do.
Really?
Burly and firm. Yeah.
Burly. Me too. So same for knitters. Sorry, all the jokes. Got all the jokes. The tighter the twist, the more long wearing the sock is. But you can use, I mean, make a pair in all the different types. I mean, why not? Give them all a try. And you might find that you have some that you wear with socks, some maybe you just wear around the house, maybe some you just wear to bed. I mean, just have some fun with it. But yeah, the tighter the twist, the longer wear of the sock itself. Yeah. You want me to go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I have Anzula here. I've been a fan of Anzula since I think they started around the same time you and I did, Ron. Mm-hmm. Calliope over there, she does great colors. She sent us 2 different yarns. This one is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. So for me, these are not going to wear as long. I probably wouldn't wear these in too many of my shoes because it's only 10% nylon and cashmere is a very soft fiber. So these are incredibly soft. Like I can't even imagine. My mom saw these. She's like, are those going to be for me? Yes, Mom. Yes, they are. So it feels really good. Could you use this yarn? Absolutely. It has a tighter twist than the one you were showing. But it's very nice. It's called Squishy.
That's one of my favorite sock yarns in
right?
the world.
I love it. It's so nice. And then this one is Haiku, and this one is 70 merino, 20 bamboo, 10 nylon. So to me, the bamboo and nylon are really going to be nice and secure because they're just going to hold it together really well. This one has a little bit more shine to it. So I feel like this will wear really well, but these are beautiful colors from Anzula. And my plan, just so everybody knows, these yarn companies sent us yarn to be able to show to you so you can see some other yarns that are out there. I want to make some designs with these so that you will be able to say, oh, I could get that color, I could get that fiber, and maybe I do a lacy pattern, maybe I do a cable pattern, maybe I do a simple pattern. I want to show you some options. So got my work cut out for me with some of these yarns. It's really exciting. So thank you to Anzula. And then, do you want to go?
Sure. So then one of the others we have is Northern Bee Studio. They have some really beautiful colors. A lot of, what's going to become a variegated yarn in your socks. It's not the self-striping, but it's beautiful. And they have some solid, I should say tonal colors because it's not a true solid
like a
color,
semi-solid?
Hand dyed. So
yeah. Cool. What are the fiber content on those?
So this one is Sturdy Sock. This is the 80 Superwash Merino 20 nylon. And this is a Yak Sock, which is 20 Yak, 10 nylon, and 70 merino.
Awesome. Cool. Ron, do you want to show Stunning String?
Yes. So I have Stunning String, and it's stunning.
It's so pretty.
It's so pretty.
I love them.
The color Wilderness. And it's a 75-25.
Yeah.
But what I love about it is and you can see it's so tightly twisted that it almost looks like a single strand.
Yep.
And so that means that it's going to wear so incredibly well and it's going to stitch up beautifully.
Yeah.
And the thing with crochet socks is, our stitches are big ones. And so you're going to see them. So you want something that's going to look really pretty as it's stitched.
Right. I love it. Is yours? Mine is, I'm going to say mine's a variegated, but it's like a tonal variegated. And so mine's called Mountain Peak. And Tom and Cindy over there, Tom does all the dyeing. Cindy does a lot of the designing and telling him what we want, what they want and stuff. But they do such a great job with dyeing the colors. They have so many different colors. Mine is 75-25. It's the Smashing Sock. Oh, look at yours. Ooh, that's pretty.
Right? It's just so pretty.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
If you guys want to see what it's going to look like out of the skein, just open it up. And if you're in the yarn shop, they'll let you open it up. Just do it. Don't tell them I told you that. But it looks so pretty. And I love tonal yarns. They're my favorite.
It's good. It's good. I have a yarn here I was not expecting, and it's I lost you in my picture. Hold on. I hit a button. Escape. There you go. Okay. So this is a new to me company. It's Bewitched Pigments Fiber Arts. You guys who watched me do my unboxing saw me unbox this. I'm sorry, these colors speak to me like something fierce.
Those are amazing.
Oh my gosh, like unbelievable.
Like a chaotic, beautiful mess.
Okay, so look at these colors. I'm going to read what she wrote here. First off, she says, thank you for including Bewitched Pigments Fiber Arts Company in this event. As indie dahlias, we continue to struggle while shows are being canceled with their customers and cutting back on spending. We appreciate every opportunity we can get to expose our products to new audiences. Fantastic. That's our goal. Enclosed, you will find 2 skeins of our fingering weight yarn. One is Magic. That's this one right here. So the one on top, Magic, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And the other is Alchemy, which is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. Both of them are 100 grams. And it's a brand new colorway called Orion. We will release Orion to coincide with the podcast. Let us know. We can help promote. So this is a brand new colorway that they are releasing after this podcast. It's called Orion. Isn't that stunning? Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I mean, I opened this bag and I was like, oh yes, child. I am making that. Love them so much. So thank you to Bewitched Pigments Fiber Arts. Absolutely beautiful. So again, all of these links will be in the post tomorrow. So I'll give you some time to be able to get to them. Do you have something else, Caitlin?
I've got one more, and this one is really awesome. So I found them online, and after doing some digging, I found out that they're like a half an hour from me.
Oh yeah?
They were running the local yarn show that of course got canceled because of all the COVID. But I was like, wow, that's so cool. And she has really beautiful colors. She's called Shirsty Cat. I'm probably saying that wrong, but we'll link to her. But she's got 2 different bases as well. This one is Just Sock, and this is 75 merino, 25 nylon. And then this one is BFL Sock, which is 75% BFL, 25% nylon. So
and BFL is amazing for socks.
Softer,
yeah, it's sturdy. It's a good,
so sturdy.
It's a good sock
BFL
yarn.
is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Everybody loves merino because it's so soft, but yeah, like that one's just really good. All right, so I have one here, and it's Nurturing Fibers Sock Twists, and it's from nurturingfibers.com ZA. So this was sent to me from Stephanie Shelton from the It's Crochet O'Clock podcast and YouTube channel, and they're fantastic. Love these colors together. These are 100% merino. So if I wanted to add like a nylon string, like hold it with it along the way, I could, or I could just make these and have them just know that they're eventually going to wear out. If I wanted to wear them around, wear them as bed socks, like I could have a lot of fun with these. So I absolutely think these are great color combinations. Can have some fun with that one. I do want to show one more. I want to show 2 more. Can I show 2 more? And I bought these. So these are not like sent to me. So these are from Mod Knit Yarns, and this one is 80-20. So it's 80 merino, 20 nylon. And this one is 60 merino, 30 bamboo, 10 nylon. So this one, it really has a lot of shine to it, but I loved those colors. And then I loved this one. Can you see all the reds and pinks in there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. So this is another really great company to check out, Mod Knit. And then you guys saw me unbox this if you watched, but I gotta pull it out. So when I was asking people on Facebook about some yarn companies and stuff, somebody suggested this one, Lola Bean Yarn Company. So I got online and I bought some yarn, and I'm loving it so much. So it's an 80-20. It has a really nice twist to it. I love this color. It's just so pretty. So this is the Bean Sprout base, and this color is Hay Hideaway. So Hey Hideaway. And I bought 2 because, you know, I can't just buy one. So it's really cool. I'm going to show you another one real quick because it's really pretty. This is too. Like it has, it reminds me of like a newspaper, but it has hints of yellow. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. So that's Lola Bean Yarn Company. And you can get that from a company called Eat, Knit, Sleep. I guess it's a yarn store in Georgia. That's where I bought this. I think she also has an Etsy store, but I think she's like overwhelmed with yarn sales and stuff right now. So you can check out Eat, Knit, Sleep. You can get them there, but really, really good sock yarn. We have to talk about needles real quick. I know this is a longer podcast, y'all, but we've got to talk about needles and hooks. We have to.
I'm game. I could go all day about that.
I know, right? I know. We'll go as quickly as we can, everybody, because I know that we also have an exclusive bag that we need to talk about, but I want to save that to the end. So while I have you here, I'm going to jump in with needles. Okay, so there are a lot of needle options out there, and I do have my favorites. And so I wanted to make sure I reached out to those companies so that we could try and highlight them as much as possible. So I want to say thank you to Skacel and Addie. They sent me all the sizes that I need in all their different types of needles so that we can try those out. So I will be working with these in the video so you can see and we can talk about the benefits of all of them. But there are lots of different options here. These are 10-inch circular, so not 9-inch, but they're 10-inch, like little tiny ones. They have those also in let's see, that's a smaller size. Then they have Addie Turbo Sock Rocket. So these are sock, or typically sock needles. You use this with Magic Loop. So it's a 47-inch cord so that it makes it easy to loop around. Also, you could transition that over to making 2 socks at a time if you wanted to. These are the Natura ones. So I think there's a bamboo. So if you don't like metal, you have bamboo option. These one here, these are the square needles, and they feel like they look like they have like little ridges in them. Can you see? They have ridges. So I haven't used these before. They'll be brand new, but they're an option there. These are the Addie Turbo Lace. I've used these a lot. And then we have more rockets squared. And so those are the Addie Skacel ones. So we have a lot of those options. I also, you guys know, I love signature needles. When I was at Stitches West, I purchased a lot of their 9-inch needles, and then they sent me some as well to use. So I'm trying them out. The great thing about these, so I'm using them on this one. One needle, can you see it all? One needle is the stiletto point, and the other is it's not the stiletto point. I don't even know what it's called because I only buy stiletto. So you can decide which needle you want to knit off of. So like I have my stiletto in my right hand because that's where I knit, like it goes into my stitch easily. They're very flexible. I feel very comfortable with these. I was afraid I wasn't going to, but they're very nice. And so I really like working with these. The other ones, Chagu, you guys know I love their other needles. So they sent me some of their interchangeable set, and it comes in a pack like this. When you open it up, it's got all the needles, and these ones up top here are longer. You see how long those are? So if I wanted, like maybe I'm making something like a sleeve, I could use the longer ones. Or you know what I've done is I used one of the short ones. See if I can pull this out. Use one of the short ones. Can you see the difference here? So I have one short one and one long one on my needles right now. So I have the long one in my right hand. So I actually have a little bit more to hang on to as I'm knitting. So I have the longer one over here, and this one's the shorter one. And I'm really enjoying that a lot. I think you have that option also in some knit pick needles and stuff, but I'm really liking these a lot. They're nice and pointy. Everything I love about Chagu needles, I love these. And this is a very affordable set. It's a great way to go if you're interested in that. And then I did find what I was mentioning earlier. I bought this pack of those little
I love those
markers. It was like $11 on Amazon. We'll be sure to put a link, but these are really handy, especially when I'm making socks, because they don't pull on the yarn itself very much. And it's a really good point to have a place to measure with there. Okay. And then Ron,
Yes.
Go.
Okay. I'm here. I'm ready.
Okay.
I got all of my crochet hooks here. But the one I told you about earlier that I like to use is the 2.5 millimeter from Skissel, Addie.
I love those.
These are my favorite, and there's a reason that they're my favorite. Number one, they're really long, and I have giant hands. But also, there's a long shaft, and the head is a little bit rounded. Now, one thing I would avoid, this is an old hook I have, but see how pointy the heads are? I know we're really, like, usually crocheters are really sassy about whether or not we like, you know, boy head, base head, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to crochet socks, the pointier the head, the sharper the head, the more difficult it's going to be to go into the stitch. We're using extended stitches, so you can sometimes go into the stitch or into the next stitch. So I use those. And then I also, like, if you really like just wooden hooks, these are ones that they're made here in North Carolina. They're my absolute favorite. These are from Twin Birch Products, I think they're called, and you order them online, but it's just literally a piece of wood with a small hook head. I would recommend, I'm always going to go back to the Addies, but like I said, the sizing is weird. So these are two other hooks that I have. These are probably more likely what you're going to see, and you can, if the camera's not going to focus, but the pink one is a C, which is a 2.75, and the white one is a D, which is a 3.25. You can try to sit in that area, but it's the 2.5 you're pretty much only going to be able to find online. They're not sold regularly in stores. So if you have something around that size, totally go for it. And like I said, if you can't find anything, then I would recommend a B, which is, these are from Clover. This is the 2.25 that you can find at most Joann's, Michael's, everywhere. This is from Clover. They're the soft touch hooks. It's a 2.25. You'll get a round gauge for that.
I also have the Laurel Hill hooks. I don't know if they come that small. Like I just grabbed one, so I have a D, but it's a really nice wood hook. If you're somebody who likes wood hooks, it's a nice hook, and it's not super pointy. It's a little bit rounded.
The rounded hooks they go into the stitches better. And one of the companies I love is like my Tulip hooks, but it's hard to find them below a size D. So I'm telling you, Addie Skissel hooks they're the Cadillac of hooks. Seriously.
And I know if you buy the set, like I have like 4 sets. I love them. Yeah.
And then they have, like, I know people always tell me that they get, they feel like they can't hold the hooks well. The Addie swing hooks are my other favorite because they fit in your hand. And so while you're crocheting, I don't use these a lot because the shaft is so short. I like a longer shaft. And so, you know.
Yeah, I can't use the swing ones as a pencil holder. I know that technically you can. Yeah. They're just too heavy for me. I can't. It's really difficult. But I like those. But yeah, so the big takeaway there, guys, is you want to make sure you have some length in the shaft of the hook.
Yep.
And then the smaller the hook, the better, because you want your stitches nice and snug. Yep. Cool. Awesome. And then do you have any?
They're all the same color, but I use like gold ones and black ones. But those are perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. I think that's everything. Oh, the only other thing I was going to mention were books, because I know you have a lot of links to books, but maybe we can do that. I mean, so I don't know how detailed people want to get, like Post-it notes in there. I use it a lot. Toe Up Socks by Wendy. What's her last name? Wendy Johnson. Really good. My socks in here beforehand, but I don't know where they are. But this is a great sock. Oh, there they are. The Budalea socks. See? Really nice. And those are toe up. They're pretty cool. Gorgeous. Anyways. And then, of course, Ron has 2 crochet books. I think they're behind him right now. But we'll be sure to link to all of those so that you'll have links to all of that. So, okay. We literally just threw a ton of stuff at you. The biggest takeaway here is for the details of the sock along itself, that link is provided in the video description box below. For all of the extra stuff we just talked about, we'll put that in a post tomorrow. So just go back to the Marley Bird blog website. If you have the RSS feed, you'll know exactly when it goes up. And you'll be able to check out links to all of those people. And, if you go to them because you heard from them here, please let them know that. Like, that's a really big deal for us. We're working really hard, not only to promote sock knitting, sock crocheting, and our own names, but we want to help lift up the industry as a whole, because it is hurting, guys. Like, it's really hard for a lot of the indie dyers, especially because there are no events to go to and it's just really difficult. So we want to make sure that we're showing everybody love and we can let them know, hey, we heard about you, you know, from Marley and Ron and Caitlin on the Yarn Thing podcast, like blah, 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 all of that good stuff. So Caitlin, you look like you have something to say. No,
I was just waiting to see if we were going to do the bags.
Yes. That's the next thing. Rhonda Matson is mentioning the Charlene Church books. Those are my absolute favorite, but they're out of print. So that's why I didn't show them, because I think they're selling for like $200 online or something like that. So I was like, I'm just not going to show those, but they're my favorite. So yeah. Okay. So we have one last thing.
Okay. Stop teasing. Let's go. Just show it.
Do you want to show it at the same time? And then I'll have Ron say what he sent me, like when he got it.
I don't even know. Now I got to look it up.
Oh no, you're good. All right, you ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Hey, look at this, you guys. This is a limited edition, specially designed, limited quantity sock bag by Erin Lane Bags. It shows socks being made on knitting needles and socks being made with the crochet hook. There's the crochet hook. Ron has it.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, so we have both featured on the bag. We only have a select few of these, you guys. They were specially made by Lindsay. The link to purchase this is in that link I provided in the video description box. So there you will see where it says exclusive bag. Go there. They are $35 because it is a custom fabric. I will let you guys know in case you get them and you don't know. On the plumage of the bird, you'll see little tiny like numbery sort of things. Can you see it right there? That was like some sort of a misprint with the printer. You know, there's nothing we can do about it. So it's not that yours is special. You got some sort of numbers. It's on all the fabric. Nothing I can do. So just so that you know, that just makes them that much more special. It's a design feature, right?
I didn't even notice that until you said something.
You didn't?
I was like, oh no,
yeah.
Not at all.
Well, because it's not really noticeable. I just happened to see it. But these bags they're not mandatory. They're very handy for knitting socks. I love them. It is a great way to support another woman-owned company. Lindsay and I try and collaborate as much as possible whenever we can, because we are like best friends. And so, yeah, so when you buy this, you're buying from me and buying from her. And you have a little something to commemorate the 2020 sock knit along, because these are limited edition, special edition sock bags. Pretty cool, huh? Cute. I love them. And of course they're pink, guys. I love pink. Maybe in the future we'll do other colors, but right now I love pink. So that's it. Those are the limited edition bags. So you can order those right now. The purchase button is now up on the Erin Lane Bags website, and you can find that link in the blog post with everything else, with all the details. There we go. So Caitlin waited an hour and a half for that.
And I didn't even get a bag yet.
Well, it's because she made these like super rush and sent them to Ron and I so we could have them for pictures and for this. Like, it was
I got mine first. So.
I know. He wrote me. He's like, dude, this bag is great. I'm like,
it is. I love it.
I was like, all right, what bag? Did you get yours already? I didn't get mine yet. So I thought it was awesome. I love that it has knitting needles and a crochet hook. And I did, I mean, yes, they are double pointed knitting needles in the image, whatever, but come on. I mean, they're knitting needles. That's the way they are. Could you imagine, like, if it was tried to be circulars, it wouldn't have worked.
It would look weird.
It would look weird.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think she did great. And it was a happy accident that she did them toe up. Like, she didn't even plan for it. She just sent it to me. I was like, oh, that's really great. She goes, honestly, I didn't even think about that. Like, it's just the way I did it. And I was like, sweet. So it worked out really awesome. But I love them. So those are available now specifically for the sock along. And once they're gone, they're gone. Like, this is all we have. So yeah, hopefully you like them. If you like things like that, you got to let us know, because we have other plans for other type of bags in the future. But we want to make sure you guys like them for sure. Okay. I think that's everything. People have been asking me about the sock along details forever, it feels like. And now it's out there. Now it's like, we really have to do this wrong.
We gotta get it done now.
We gotta do this. I did want to just mention, yes, the videos are going to be on my YouTube channel. So Ron's videos will be on my channel. So it will all be in one place. You don't have to go to a bunch of different places. The links to the patterns will all be on that blog post that you're linking to, just like we do the Tournament of Stitches or the Turkey Trot or the Game Day. Every day that everything is live, you'll see the link that you'll go and click on that, and that will take you to where that set of instructions are. At the culmination, is that the word? Culmination of the event, we will have a paid for PDF that you can purchase for all the instructions in one place. And that'll be at the end of the event, during the event, not just during the event. It's always going to be free on my website with the links, but you'll have to go to each link. But if you want everything in one place in one big PDF, that will be available afterwards. There might be even something special as far as an ebook. We're still talking about that, but now that I've thrown that out there, so we'll see how that goes.
Giving us more work, Marley. Good job.
You know what? Caitlin's like preaching to the choir. So, yeah. Do you guys have anything else to say? Are you excited?
I'm so excited. This is gonna be so much fun.
Okay, I think so too. How about you, Caitlin?
I'm excited, a little overwhelmed with all of my projects going on right now, but we're going to do it and we're going to have a fun time. And I'm excited. I
think it's going to be good.
So
I think it's going to be good. You're going to get a sock bag. I saved a sock bag for you. How could I not? So
if you finish your socks.
If you finish your socks, that's your reward.
Wait a minute. What is the time frame for finishing my socks? If I finish them in a year, does that still count?
No. You'll have to wait for your sock bag. Oh my gosh, so funny. All right, guys. Well, let us know.
There are some questions about where to purchase. The sock bag is in the post that's live today. All the other stuff we talked about is coming out in a post tomorrow. So be sure to go back and check for that link as well then.
And we'll be sure to link to the sock bag in that other post too. But the sock bag is available today. It's out there. Get it while you can, because once they're gone, they're gone. Yeah, so there's that. Now I've lost my train of thought. Hold on. So go to the blog post. This is fun. Totally forgot what I was going to say. I completely spaced it. Hold on. It'll come back to me. I was going to let everybody go. Maybe that was it. I was just going to say, okay, guys, thanks for joining in. Oh, I know what it was. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to participate, if you're going to be a knitter sock, or if you're going to do a knit sock, if you're going to do a crochet sock. Kind of give us an idea of what you're going to do. Maybe you already have sock yarn you want to use. Let us know what the sock yarn is below. I mean, everybody is interested in the sock yarns. And don't forget to smash that like button. Don't hesitate to share this video to let other people join in the fun. Get your group together to make socks together. You can have knitters and crocheters working together. This really is a community-based project. If you have questions about the sock along, as Caitlin mentioned, Ron and I are going to be in the Marley's Minions group, making sure that we answer questions for each of the thread. We'll have a thread for each week so that you can go in and ask questions. There'll be one specific for knitting, one specific for crocheters, just like we do with the game day, the Tournament of Stitches, everything we do, it'll be just like that. So it'll make it really easy for everybody. We'd love to see your pictures. Use hashtag Marley Bird, hashtag Ron Strong, hashtag SockAlong2020, all of those things. We will be sure to find all of your work. I know that Ron is on Instagram a lot. He has a YouTube channel. We want to make sure we add all of that information so you can follow him and make sure you show him some love, you guys. Isn't he great? I just love Ron. I feel like I'm like one of your mothers. Just like, here we go, little bird. I love it. All right. Thank you, Caitlin, for all of your hard work.
Always.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We will see you next Tuesday. Get your stuff, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.